What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another match review stream for you guys. Obviously, we do match review, player ratings, and 5 takeaways. And look, I'm looking forward to this one. I was there yesterday at the Vitality. Amazing atmosphere from the stands once again. The fans in full voice. An amazing vibe is generating at Tottenham at the moment. And, you know, I keep speaking about this connection that the fans are building, or the players are building with the fans. And that was even more evident yesterday. And it's just a great time to be a Spurs fan at the moment, isn't it?
Unbelievable. Only 3 games in, and everyone is just on top of the world at the moment. Everyone's absolutely fallen in love with Ange. The football's brilliant. The results are great at the moment. There's just nothing to complain about. Everything's going well. Even though like transfers and all this stuff, you can say, oh, we need this one in, we need that one out, blah, blah, blah. What's happening on the pitch is absolutely fantastic. It's so exciting. Everyone is doing their part. And it's not even just like individuals are doing well, but also just doing well as a team, just the way we're performing at the moment. And look, at the moment, maybe it is a honeymoon period, it probably is, but you just got to enjoy it because it's been so long since we can sit down and watch Spurs and just enjoy watching the game and just enjoy the football. And look, I just can't wait for more Ange ball at the moment.
I just haven't looked forward to and enjoyed going to football so much probably since the Champions League run. That's the last time I enjoyed it this much, and it's just such a welcome kind of opportunity every time Spurs play. It really is. And now I'm just buzzing for Tuesday. I'm even buzzing to go up to Burnley next weekend. Absolutely. And I've kind of trying to swerve the Burnley game for the past 3-4 years. And I'm actually buzzing to go up there. So look, let's get into the match review. But actually, before we do, let's give a big happy birthday to the main man himself, big Ange Postecoglou. He turns 58 today. So happy birthday. Everyone give him a happy birthday message in the comment section. But let's get into the match review, because I thought first half Spurs were dynamite yesterday. James Maddison was absolutely in the thick of the action. He was controlling everything that Spurs were doing going forward. He was just like floating in between those lines, and he was pretty much just involved in everything good happening for Spurs. In the opening 15 minutes, he goes through on goal, and he really should have finished that chance, shouldn't he?
Yeah, I think Heung-min Son played him in, didn't he? And you expect Maddison in those situations to find the corner. I think he maybe didn't catch the shot as right. But look, I think the midfield 3 just started as they finished off the Man United game, just dominant, confident. They were dribbling past players, they're opening up Bournemouth time and time again. Bournemouth barely had anything in that first half, to be honest. They had that one shot literally right at the end from Billing, but other than that, it was total domination. Again, Tottenham just well in control of the game. And it was great to see, again, just in possession, our passing game has just taken up so many levels from last season. And yeah, Maddison's completely at the forefront of it all. What I loved about James Maddison, especially in the first half, was that he wasn't shy about coming into his own half, picking up the ball, and being like a deep-lying playmaker at times, and also driving into space from his own half, opening up space, committing players. And I think it also was really helpful when it came to beating Bournemouth's press, because Bournemouth pretty much started the game as I assumed they would. And actually, if I looked at their average positions in this game compared to Liverpool, and it was pretty much exactly the same. The 2 wingers were very central and were trying to just hound us because they knew we were going to have the inverted fullbacks. But I think Maddison coming deep definitely helped that. And I actually think, again, the fullbacks were a bit wider again this time than they're inverted, although they did have their opportunities to come inverted. But it helped Tottenham have a lot less trouble than Liverpool did when dealing with Bournemouth's press. And we didn't get caught out on too many occasions, if any, in that first half. And especially Bournemouth being at home, they need some points at the moment because they haven't won a game. So they're going to be desperate to hound us into mistakes and try and force turnovers and situations. And I just think that was especially away from home, it's really important that you calm those situations down. You make sure that you ride those kind of waves, and you're just making sure that there are no high turnovers. You're not giving them any more encouragement than they need. And we did that perfectly in the first half, and we reaped the benefits.
And that was a big testament to every single player on that pitch in that first half, because I thought Maddison Richarlison, as however good he was on the ball, he was unbelievable off the ball as well. He was being tenacious. He was putting himself about, putting challenges in, and then going forward. Obviously, we all saw what he was doing going forward. That goal was absolutely unbelievable. Team goal. Bissouma was absolutely incredible in there. He plays it to Pape Matar, and Pape Sarr with an absolute pinpoint ball through the lines. Maddison, makes that run off the ball. around the back, and he makes no mistake the second time with the goal.
Yeah, and what's beautiful about that pass from Sarr is that Maddison just doesn't even have to break stride, just makes the run. It's perfectly in his path. He just has to hit it first time, and bam, it's a goal. It was a lovely, cute finish. Maybe he would say he didn't catch it as well as he could have, but it found the corner, and it was a brilliant team move because Bissouma before then did what he does, dribbles past Christie, plays it into Sarr. Sarr just has one look up, quick pass into Maddison, who vacated the space that Richarlison had, and bam, it's 1-0, and it was a lovely team goal, a really well worked move, and it's just something that we're just not so accustomed to over the last few years, just like well worked moves from that in possession against like a set defense. It's just used to like Spurs only creating chances when we're in transition, so it's so nice to see us like break down a team and then use those clearly runs that have been worked on in the training pitch. Like Maddison said after the game, I've been working on that run time and time again on the training pitch, and it's so nice to see it pay off.
And this is what I've been saying as well over the last couple of games about Maddison after the game. Like I've been really impressed with the way he's playing, the leadership role he's taking up on the pitch as well. But I wanted to see him get into more goal scoring opportunities, and he definitely corrected that in the first half yesterday. He probably should have scored 2 goals on the day. At halftime, we should have been more clear than 1-0 up for sure. And I thought it was a really good dominant display. And you're really seeing these players, like you say, coming into their own, breaking down teams. The passing moves, especially from the middle of the park, are completely on point. It's hard for teams to really get the ball, break us down, and stop our attacking flow, because you're looking at the back line as well. I thought Romero, Van de Ven, Udogie and Porro all played unbelievable games yesterday. Pedro Porro really growing into his own now, into this right back role. I don't think he got even dribbled past once yesterday, to be honest. Destiny Udogie, I thought he was absolutely insane on that left-hand side in the first half. Nobody could get past him. He was creating attacks and influencing things going forward the other end as well. Romero was at his aggressive best yesterday. I mean, there was one point with Romero, it cracked me up in the middle of the park where it looked like a Bournemouth player was going to get it. He just zoomed into the ball and just smacked the ball against the Bournemouth player.
Yes, yeah,
that was
brilliant.
so
Classic
funny, man.
Romero,
I was
not
just
giving any shit.
cracking up with that yesterday. But I thought we could have run into trouble yesterday because we didn't take those chances in the first half, because Bournemouth did put it on us in those first 20 minutes of the second half.
Yeah, and if you actually look in the statistics of that first half, though, what I think what you say about defensive solidity is right, because Bournemouth actually had 48% of possession. So Tottenham, although slightly dominant, they weren't maybe as dominant as you would expect, like they were maybe against Brentford in the second half against Man United, where they really dominated possession and didn't allow Bournemouth the opposition the ball a lot. Bournemouth actually saw quite a bit of that ball in that first half, but they just weren't able to break us down, and that's really encouraging, because a lot of the kind of narrative has been, yes, we're going to be good going forward, but going the other way, are we going to be too open? Are we going to be very easy to create chances against? And that was the big fear. But Bournemouth actually did have a lot of possession and just very little opportunities. They had that one chance right on the stroke of half time from Philip Billing, which, to be fair, if that goes in, it would have been a good finish, but he was completely free, so got to be question marks about it. But other than that, I just don't remember too many clear-cut opportunities. I think all the defenders were doing their job. Everyone was doing a job for the team. And actually what I really liked as well is not only were we good when we had possession, but in transition as well, when we were counter-attacking, we looked dangerous. And if you can have those dual threat like that, you can be good on the counter and good in possession. It's going to be very, very difficult to stop. And Rishi probably should have had a goal in that first half. He had a header from a free kick, which if he turns on target, it's an open goal. It should be a goal. And then he had his one big chance where he was played for on goal from Maddison in the transition, was on a counter-attack. And look, in a weird way, he made it almost too harder for himself, but he did some amazing nutmeg in the box. But then all of a sudden it just made it too difficult. He tried to take it around the keeper, and the defender ends up coming back and clearing the ball. He'll probably be a bit disappointed with that. But I actually, in the first half, wasn't too disappointed with Rishi. At least he was getting in and amongst the chances. And
I thought his link-up play was all right in the first half.
Yeah, it was okay. Although there's a clip circulating where he kind of doesn't pass the ball quick enough, and his hold-up play wasn't good, and you hear Ange shouting,
was that not in the second half, though?
That was first half.
Was it first half?
It was first half. He was like, pass the ball, Rishi. He's going a bit crazy. But I actually thought in the first half, Rishi was all right. But this is what I mean about Rishi. That one moment pretty much encapsulated Richarlison. He does the difficult things sometimes really well. He can do these crazy things somehow, and he pulls them off. But then the simple things he sometimes really struggles with, and that's what is really frustrating. But anyway, we'll go on to Rishi later, but first half I thought we've well worth the lead, and in terms of the big chances created, we should have been at least a couple up.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the second half comes and you really think we're going to take Bournemouth to the sword. But Bournemouth start the second half really strong. And we were on the back foot a little bit. But I feel like our defence kept us out of trouble for the majority of that period of the game. And we were under pressure and we were losing control of the game. But I think Van de Ven in that period of the game was so important to us. Every time a ball came over the top, he was there to head it away. Unbelievable sliding tackles as well from him. And like when you're talking about a defender, 22 years of age, to come into a Premier League team and just be like literally one of the best players on the pitch, it's just unbelievable to see. And I was just so impressed with the way Mickey van der Ven kind of navigated that period of the game for us. Yeah,
because there were a few definitely hairy moments which, if he got wrong, could have easily led to Bournemouth chances. Had a one through ball, which he does a beautiful sliding challenge to block, to intercept it. But what I love about Van de Ven is not only does he intercept that through ball, but he retains possession and allows us, and he gives it off to a teammate and allows us to get back on the ball and back on possession. It's something that I've criticised Sanchez for a lot of the time. He makes a challenge, but he doesn't do what Romero van de Ven does, where once he makes that challenge, he wins the ball back. What he'll do is usually he'll put it out of play or fall back to an opposition player. But Van de Ven is very clearly very good at that. He did it a few times in that second half. And I agree with you. I think Bournemouth started that first half with new energy, and it looked like although, that second half you expect Tottenham to kind of want to put the game to bed, we came out a bit leggy. We were letting the game slip away from us. But what I would say is our defense was still really solid. We didn't allow any really easy chances. The closest they got was probably a Semenyo shot from the edge of the box, which hit the stanchion. It was quite close, to be fair, but that's not a good big opportunity. There was a chance Solanke had, which it rolled across the face of goal. That could have been dangerous if anyone was running in, but luckily for us, that didn't happen. But even in the second half, with Bournemouth maybe having a bit more joy, like getting in our penalty area. If you look at like the XG, first half Bournemouth created 0.47 XG. Second half they only created 0.2. So they created less good quality opportunities according to the stats in that second half, despite the increased. I actually say it would only really be the first 10 minutes. I think after that,
I would say maybe like 15, maybe a bit more.
I think pretty much before that our subs.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That was it.
Yeah, they came on in the 60th minute.
Yeah.
So I think first of all, those subs were absolutely spot on from Ange Postecoglou at the right time as well. When the tide was turning in the game, Ange saw the problem and he decided to put on, as he says in the post-match interview, his most experienced players in Højbjerg and Perisic. And I thought both of them did such a great job for the team. Perisic was at his creative best on that left-hand side. Højbjerg just kept things simple, and he looked sharp, Højbjerg, when he came on as well. I really liked the performances of both of them. Bissouma, though, I thought Bissouma in that period of the game when we were coming under pressure, I felt like he was being really wasteful on the ball, and it was actually quite frustrating, those for opening 20 minutes of that half from Bissouma.
Yeah, he looked a bit. Him and Sarr both looked a bit leggy in the opening exchanges of the second half. So it's no surprise they were taken off. I'm not sure why that was, because they have had a week break before the last game. But sometimes that can happen in games. That's why you need a big squad to manage these kind of games. I think Ange Postecoglou, what I love about it is he didn't let things fester for too long. He saw things, the game was kind of, we're losing our grip on it, and once he noticed that, he changed it up. We calmed things down, and what I liked about it as well was the energy levels increased pretty much straight away.
Yeah,
and within pretty much immediately you saw
3
a change.
minutes. Yeah,
we even before the goal we scored within 3 minutes, but even before that we were looking a lot more brighter. We had an opening which we didn't take full advantage of, and then straight away, and then the goal came with another lovely team move. Perisic to Udogie to Son, nice 1-2, and a really nice finish from Kulusevski, and that pretty much killed the game. But I think Postecoglou, that shows really good game management and real good ability to read what's going on the pitch and change things when necessary.
Everyone in the stands yesterday, including myself, was so happy with those substitutions because we've seen in previous years, especially last season under Antonio Conte, he would let it fester and let he wanted the players to suffer and find their own way back into the game. But Ange Postecoglou is much more there to help his players and see when things are going wrong. They need extra energy. They need more experience on that pitch. And that's what he gave them. And we reaped the awards for it. But that goal, both of those goals yesterday, such good team goals. And for the first time this season, we're seeing that because last week against Manchester United, we played really well, but the goals weren't great team goals. They were kind of fortuitous, both goals. And it was great to see moves that we've created ourselves coming to fruition with goals at the back of the net. And the second goal, I mean, that movement from Destiny Udogie was absolutely top class. The 1-2 with Heung-min Son and Kulusevski, the way he gets in front of his man and finishes pinpoint in the bottom corner, I really loved to see that goal.
Yeah, and he was literally he had to fight to keep that ball in Udogie. What I loved about it, he didn't just keep it in and that's all he achieved. He kept it in and was able to pull off a really good pullback for Kulusevski. And I love Kulusevski that he wasn't just on his heels or waiting at the back post for the ball. He was on the move, running across his centre back, or running on the blind side of the centre back, and a really cute finish into the far corner as well. And I thought he had a better performance overall as well. Kulusevski as well. I was pretty happy with him in that game. And Heung-min Son being in that central role, I thought again he looked bright once he moved centrally. And I think even just that one moment, it just showed the difference between Richarlison and Son in just their quality doing the simple things. A little flick round the corner from Son, not too hard, not too soft, just perfectly in the path of Udogie, allowing him to keep it in and setting up the goal. It's just something that Richarlison is missing, that little cuteness from his play that allows other players to really get involved in the attack. And I think Son, in a way, just showed up with Richarlison a bit in just that one moment. Literally, it was literally a minute after Richarlison had gone off. And I think that really shows the difference in just that little bit of quality. And I guess we have to talk about Richarlison a bit because I actually wasn't too unhappy with his first half performance, although he didn't score. He was getting involved. But that second half, he was just so in his head about his performance level and those lack of goals, and it was clearly getting to him. I think you could probably make a fail compilation of him just that second half. He was tripping over the ball. He had that counter attack where he had 4 options, and he somehow managed to pick the wrong option and have the pass blocked. And I think you could see Postecoglou getting a bit frustrated with him, and he obviously hauled him off on the hour mark. And it's no surprise, he was taken off at that point. And I feel for him because he's clearly lacking confidence. You can see what I didn't like about him, though, was that in those moments I'm talking about, he didn't have this kind of attitude of, I'm going to make up for those mistakes. I'm going to get back up and run back and make up for that and, get a tackle in or create a tactical foul. He was just shrugging his shoulders. He was down in the dumps. When that moment where he slipped on the ball, he ended up kicking out a player and he got booked. And if that was a higher challenge, maybe that could have been a red if that was any different. The moment where he had that counter attack, we had 4 options. When he gives the ball away, he doesn't run back and think, I'm going to make up for that mistake. He shrugs his shoulders. He feels sorry for himself. And if he's going to have that attitude, it's going to be problems. Look, I'm not saying, after 3 games, let's bin him and that's it and it's over. I'm just saying, though there were signs in that second half that definitely made me worried about where his head is at. Yeah,
I completely agree, to be honest. And I kind of agree with you as well, where I wouldn't say I was delighted with his first half display, but I think it was good link-up play. He was putting himself about. He got in good positions as well. Obviously, he missed the big chance in the first half, but I didn't mind his first half performance too much. It was the second half which really annoyed me, and everything that was coming his way he was getting wrong, to be honest. Slipping on the ball, bad passes, bad touches, and you could see that chance in the first half was really grating on his mind, and it was clear for everyone to see in that first half. But after previous experiences that we've been through with players that are not performing, like Moussa Sissoko, Davinson Sanchez, Emerson Royale, Kieran Trippier, there are so many examples where you can see players can turn it around, especially the 3 where you talked about with Kieran Trippier, who we pretty much chased out the door, and last season he was the best right back in the Premier League. You've got Moussa Sissoko, who was being booed on the pitch at one point, and he turned it around and was influential to us in that Champions League run. You've got Emerson Royale, who is also getting booed on the pitch at times, and he's turned it around to a player that the fans can really get behind. I didn't like what I heard from the Spurs fans in the stands yesterday, and I was kind of disagreeing with a few people in the stands, because there were a few I can get like the moans and groans because of what was happening on the pitch and what we saw on the pitch, but I didn't like everyone was just screaming, "Oh, just get him off, he's shit, he's this, he's that." A few fans were booing as well, and I was just like, you can clearly see the guy is
booing. A few fans are booing.
Not a lot, but like a few around me. Like you probably not enough to hear them on TV, but like just a few people around me. And I was like thinking to myself, like, this guy is clearly lacking in confidence. And if he hears this kind of stuff coming from the fans, from his own section of supporters, that's only going to like decrease the confidence even more. We need to support people through these moments and really kind of try and get them to be the best versions of themselves, to be honest. And yes, it was nowhere near good enough and it was disgusting what we saw in that second half from him. But I prefer to maybe support players through it than kind of berate them and make them fall even deeper into low confidence and low self-esteem, because you can see clearly that's what Richarlison is going through at the moment.
100%. I absolutely agree with that, and I think, and I also believe that if we stick with him, not necessarily that he can't be dropped, however bad he plays, but I do believe that if we stick with him, he will turn it around. I'm starting to see him starting to get more chances and being in better positions, and even some of his link-up play in that first half was improving compared to previous weeks. So there are, and I actually think him being in the team does kind of the team structure and the system. It works with him because he does stretch the play. He does allow more space for the likes of Maddison to operate in. So I'm not even unhappy with, necessarily his role in the team. I'm just, obviously we need a bit more better quality. He needs to start contributing when it comes to goals and assists. We all know that, but he's clearly going through a very difficult time. He's clearly very low on confidence, and he does need the support of the fans. He needs to know we all believe in him and we all believe he can turn it around, and he needs to feel that love. And he's a very emotional guy, Richarlison. He's been like that for ever since he's come to the Premier League. It's very clear that Everton fans, I remember when we were speaking about him when we signed him, saying, he fries off the crowd a lot, and he does take a lot of things to heart. He is very emotional. Even a little snippet like, for example, into Antonio shows that he does internalize a lot of things, and he does take things to heart a lot. And so I do believe that if we could continue to support him, and if we keep giving him chances, I'm sure he will become a goal scoring forward. I'm not saying he's going to become like a 25 season goal striker or anything like that, but he can be an option for us. He can easily be a striker, getting regularly into double figures for us and being a good player for us. He just needs to get through this period where his head is clearly not right, and he's clearly feeling sorry for himself, but he needs to get out of that funk. He needs to stop feeling sorry for himself and believe in himself and believe that he can be a striker, starting for Tottenham. He starts for Brazil, so he has that confidence there. He just has to translate that into Spurs in the Premier League. I think Ange is probably the best manager for that, and I'm sure that he'll put the arm around the shoulder and just keep believing in him. But I guess there does become a question of, how many more, do we drop him for next game? Is it a case of does Son come in? Because Son is looking better in central, I get that.
I get Son is looking better in central, but I think if you drop Richarlison after you saw that mentality yesterday, I think it's just going to fester with him and it's going to get worse. But for me, obviously we can't put up with these performances for much longer. But for me, I think you give him the next two league games, Burnley and Sheffield United, two of the easier games, let's say, in the Premier League. No disrespect to Sheffield United or Burnley, but those are the two games before the North London derby. If he can't show improvements in those two games, then for me, against Arsenal in the North London derby, that's when Sonny has to go central.
Okay. I think I'd play him in the Cup. I think I'll just give him another opportunity to try and get that goal monkey off his back, basically, and just keep playing him in the Cup. And then if he can show improvement, I can earn his spot back for me, right now, as harsh as it is to say, I just think you have to do what's best for the team right now. And I think right now, whenever Sonny's going central, we're looking better, and he's looking sharper. He's looking like he understands the role of that link-up play. Like, we've already seen 2 goals come from Sonny linking up the play in central in the limited time he's had against Man United. He was involved in that second goal, and yesterday he set up Udogie. So we're already seeing improvements, and we're seeing Sonny do those things. So if Richarlison, I think we should give Richarlison the run out against Fulham because he's our starting striker, and I think he can have that spot. But if he's not performing in that game, I think he comes out the team again in the next game. I really do.
Yeah, I would just like to give him a bit more time, to be honest. And I really think like the game against Sheffield United could be a big one for him, because Sheffield United are probably, from what I've seen so far, one of the poorest teams in the league.
Not that after the international break?
Yeah, so we got Fulham, Burnley, international break, Sheffield United.
Yeah.
So maybe he can get a bit of confidence going away with Brazil, getting a goal or two there. But I would really like to see Richarlison start that game, because, Sheffield United at home, one of our easiest games of the season. You'd expect that Richarlison can do something in that game.
The annoying thing is, like, the Arsenal game, that's the kind of game I want Richarlison in for, you know what I mean? Because you've got the feeling like he would be up for that, and he'd like have a point to prove, and he'd like put that extra bit, and like in a derby, like he would feel that game
Probably
as well.
Get sent off.
Yeah, maybe that's also something to worry about. But it's kind of a game where you want like a fiery Richarlison in that game, like really putting it amongst it with the Arsenal defenders and really asking difficult questions. But I need to see more of him in the next following games for that.
All in all, realistically, yeah, in that second half,
it's a long season.
In that second half, when Richarlison was on the pitch, it was like we were playing with 10 men at times.
Yeah,
it really was, because he didn't do anything right, and he got taken off after 58, 59 minutes or something like that. So, look, it was a poor display from Richarlison, but in my opinion, I think the supporters should be supporters and supporting a player through it, as opposed to berating him. Yeah, in my opinion,
I completely disagree. Any abuse and stuff. Have we not been? As you said, we've been through this so many times that abuse is never going to help a player, and we've seen players turn it around. When a player puts on that shirt and is giving their all, you shouldn't be trying to tear them down. Even if you don't think they're a good player, you should be trying to sort of give them support, especially when you're at the ground. It's one thing when you're giving your opinion online and stuff, but you should never be going to games and trying to abuse players. That's never going to help any situation. It just creates a toxic atmosphere.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with you on that.
Yeah. So I think all in all, it was a really good day for Tottenham yesterday. Not only for Tottenham, but Arsenal dropping points as well, which was all great to see. So it was kind of like the perfect day yesterday, to be honest. I think the only down point of the day was Richarlison, because I think everyone performed to a really good level apart from him, really.
Yeah, and also what I loved as well is that once we went 2-0, literally
cruise
control, total domination. Wasn't even an inkling of Bournemouth getting back in the game. If anything, it was Tottenham looking like they were going to get a third goal. It was like a performance of like a team like a seasoned team who just like know how to win, which is strange. Like it was very, very comfortable in that second half going into after we got the second goal and going on to win the game, and that was an absolute delight to watch. And I would never have assumed that Ange would have been getting such comfortable wins so early in his tenure like that, especially away from home against a difficult team like Bournemouth.
And as well, it's like this team is completely unrecognisable from last season. You've out of the starting lineups in the two last games, two identical lineups, right? Only 3 players in those lineups were consistent players under Spurs last season. You got Christian Romero, Dejan Kulusevski, and Heung-min Son. Everyone else either is brand new or played a bit part role last season. It's absolutely mad to think about, like, all these players. When have you ever seen a team before come into the Premier League and all these players kind of hit the ground running at the same time? I don't remember ever seeing that.
It's incredible. And you even look at Bournemouth last season when we won 3-2. I think only 2 players who started that game started this game. And that just shows how quickly this rebuild is happening, and how we've been able to move a lot of players out of the team, and this is literally like a new Spurs. It's literally a brand new team, basically.
In every facet.
Within
every
6
facet.
months.
And you got to give credit to Paratici with the signings that he has made. I mean, Pape Matar, when we signed him at the time, we were excited, but we had no clue what he can bring and when he's going to break into the team and if he's ever going to break into the team. And now we're reaping the benefits for that. And, look at the players like Yves Bissouma. Last season we saw nothing of a similar sort to what we're seeing this season. This year he's been one of the best players in the Premier League. Cuti Romero, we all knew what he can bring, but I think now we're starting to see what he can really bring to the team.
Yeah, I've always said about Cuti, you put a more competent give him a more competent partner, so he's not always making up for someone else's mistakes and covering someone else's space, and you're going to see a much better Cuti. And we're seeing that even in the first 3 games. He's so much more comfortable. He's not diving into rash tackles and making rash decisions. He's doing things in a much more controlled way, but still with that aggression that he has. And that's exactly what Cuti Romero is all about.
And Destiny, man. Destiny has just like... I'm just in awe of this guy. I was watching him yesterday. I was watching him so closely, and he was one of the best players on the pitch yesterday. For me, him, Mickey van der Ven, Romero, and Maddison were just a level above anyone on that pitch yesterday. And like, this guy is 20 years of age. We signed him last year, loaned him back, and we were all saying like, yeah, he's going to be a brilliant player for us, but he's going to take time to bed into the Premier League.
A wing back as well.
He's a wing back. He's never played full back. He's never played the inverted full back as well. And he's just come into the Premier League, and he's been one of the best left backs in the league. Never mind a best player for Tottenham. He's been one of, if not the best left back in the league this season.
And he looks like he's brilliant going back and forward as well. And he looks so strong physically, but he marries that with real good technical ability and decision making as well. What I love about him is that the goal that we scored, the second goal, it wasn't even just about him getting to the byline, cutting it back. He started the move. Perisic finds him running down the left.
Yeah.
He doesn't panic when he's on the ball and just try and whip it in without even looking. He takes his time, runs back, does a little link up with Heung-min Son. He waits for the right time to pass the ball, and all of a sudden we're in the box. And then he uses his physicality and his speed to get into the byline, and then he still has the ability to get a cutback out when it looks like the ball's going to get out of play and get the assist as well. I mean, it was a marvellous piece of play from Udogie, and I think he's so capable of that. And look, it was a bit of a worry at the end of the game. It looked like he had a serious injury, but thankfully Ange said that he actually wanted to play on, and he's absolutely fine. So that's really good news on that front. But he has started the Premier League so well. He seems tailor-made for this inverted fullback system, where you would have thought at wing back, where he has a lot of license to get forward in a three at the back system, that would have been a system that he's really suited to. But thankfully, Ange has clearly done a lot of work with him over pre-season, and he looks absolutely phenomenal.
The average age of the team yesterday, 25 years of age.
Third youngest in the league.
And like, how the hell have we cut that down so dramatically, so quickly?
It was last season, I read, we averaged the third oldest.
Yeah.
And this season, we're averaging the third youngest. So.
It's mad. The turnaround has been absolutely crazy. So credit to Ange Postecoglou, credit to the players coming in as well. This team is just completely unrecognisable, and I am loving every second of it. So that is your match review. Spurs beat Bournemouth at the Vitality by 2-0. Let's get into a super chat that we have from James Campbell saying, I really hope Ange can get the best out of Rishi. Gear says, support Richarlison, he will come good. And like, this is the only worry for me at the moment in this team is Richarlison. That is the only thing that we have to worry about, because everyone else is performing out of their skin. So I think like once either Richarlison can turn it around or we move Sonny central, I'm still not worried about moving into the season, because I think Sonny has been working very well centrally, or you have Richarlison who can turn it around, or we're going to bring someone in between now and the end of the window. Yeah,
I think obviously there's a lot of rumours right now about Brendan Johnson or other players as well. So I think that's going to get sorted, as you say. One way or another, it's going to get sorted, the Richarlison issue. I do back him to turn it around and start scoring goals and start providing more for the team. Right now, he's going for a bad period, but I'm not too concerned right now about that position. I do believe it will sort itself out.
Yeah.
And look, everyone's chipping in. We've scored 6 goals this season. 6 different players have scored, and that's exactly what this system should be doing, or should be how it should be operating. Everyone
front line finally chipped in yesterday.
Yeah, exactly, for the first time this season after 3 games. But that's exactly what is going to make up for the lack of goals from Kane, is everyone chipping in with their fair share. And we're seeing that after 3 games, 6 different goal scorers.
Do you reckon Harry Kane's watching us right now and being like, I should have stuck around?
Not yet, but maybe come like January or something, maybe. But I think after 3 games, he's at Bayern, he's at a good club. So I'm sure he's still like happy with this decision. But if we're doing something serious this season, like if we're actually like, look, I'm not going to say we're going to be in the title race.
Don't say it's him.
If we're doing something serious this season, then he might think, could I have just given it a
he's
year?
Going to like Augsburg away, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he might think I might should. Because also for him, he probably should have given it a year to get a better offer from other places. Yeah. I think it was just more, it's just more him doing us a favour, essentially, him moving a year early.
Do you think because Ange, there was a question on the interview with TNT saying like, it's not just surrounded about one player. We're not heavily reliant on Harry Kane or just one player. And now it's about the collective and the team. Do you think we are better off now? in terms of without Harry Kane? Because do you think if Harry Kane was playing in this team, we would still be overly reliant on him?
No, I don't. I think the system would supersede Kane. I don't think we're better off without Harry Kane, but we are better off despite Kane leaving, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I think if you put Kane in the system, I think we jump up a level. I really do. If you have Kane instead of Richarlison there, I think this system would go into like overdrive and he would bag so many goals in my opinion. But that's not to say that despite Kane leaving, we can still improve. And I think we've already seen that. Like we're definitely a better team already this season than we were last season. I think all these three performances have been better than anything we showed in any game pretty much last season. So I wouldn't say it's. I know what Ange was saying, and I get what you were saying, but I don't think we're better off. I just personally don't think we're better off without Kane. But we are improving despite him leaving.
Yeah. All right. Well, a lot of fans from the outside of Tottenham saying, "Oh, there's no life out of Kane. Spurs won't score goals without Kane. Spurs going to be a mid-table team without Kane." Well, it hasn't started too badly, has it? So I think all in all, we're probably apart from Man City, we're probably the best performing team in the league. Would you not say?
Well, West Ham are top at the moment, so they're after a good win against Brighton, but I'm looking just based on performances. Yeah, I would say so. We've been the most consistent team so far in terms of the level of performance we've had over our first 3 games. Yeah. But it is only 3 games,
and we're getting better as well.
Yeah,
I think improvement performances have improved game on game.
Yeah,
so far.
True.
All right, well, let's move on to our player ratings, and let's start off with Vicario. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 7. I mean, it was a fairly quiet day for Vicario, to be honest. I mean, he did everything that came his way to a really high level. I wasn't really worried about anything that he did. I mean, if I'm nitpicking and gonna really mark him down on anything that he did, there was one moment where he could have caught it and he punched it, but that's like literally just nitpicking. So I was very happy with Vicario yesterday.
I know what moment you're talking about, and I think he made a good decision because he was absolutely hammering it down with rain, and I think if he tries to catch it, he could end up in a bit of trouble. So I think he did probably the right decision to punch. He made one save, I think, throughout the whole game. I think it was from Christie in the first half, outside the box for the shot, and he palmed it away, and actually palmed it away from goal this time rather than back into danger. So that was good. And I actually think he was a lot calmer again in possession. There were moments where he was being pressed and he was turning on the ball when strikers are pressing him, and he was able to again play it to a teammate. He's not afraid to play a pass in between the lines when the strikers are kind of trying to press him and cover the ground. So again, he's starting to improve with the ball at his feet, which is something we criticised him for first game or a couple of games. So definitely, I think Vicario is growing in confidence game by game at the moment.
I completely agree. The only reason I gave him a 7 was because it was a fairly not a busy day for him, let's just say. In the second half, he hardly had anything to do.
Did he even make a save in the second half? I don't remember.
But there was this one moment, wasn't there, from Vicario where he picks up the ball and a Bournemouth striker is bearing down on him, and he's looking the other way, and he just quickly slips it to the left-hand side. I think it was to Van de Ven, and it was just so calm, silky, and something you want to see from your keeper, especially just coming into the Premier League. But let's move on to Pedro Porro. 8 all round from us. Another really good display from Pedro. I thought defensively, I don't think he put a foot wrong, to be honest, the whole game. He was aggressive, he was winning his duels, and going forward as well, he was impacting things, although I probably want to see a bit more quality from him going forward, but I'm very happy with the way he's defending at the moment.
Yeah, I actually thought it was a bit of a defensive performance from Porro. There were a couple of occasions we saw him in the penalty box, and Maddison was very unlucky not to play him through on goal. It was very close, but I thought defensively pretty much faultless. He pretty much marked Clive out the game. I thought in the build-up play he was really good. He made some what I liked about him as well, when he takes the ball in the half space, he's not afraid to do like a little dink into the centre of the pitch if he can see a free man and he believes he can pull it off. And whereas Emerson likes to keep things simple, Porro's not afraid to go for the ambitious ball because he knows he's got the quality to pull it off, and he was doing that a lot yesterday. I thought his passing was really good. I thought it was really good in the build-up. I thought defensively he was on point. Another solid display at him at right back.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, he definitely has the shirt now, for sure, because there was question marks, weren't there, last game after the good performance against Manchester United. There were still question marks, but after that performance, I think he's our starting right back for now. And let's move on to Cuti Romero. Sim gives him a 9. I gave him an 8, and I thought it really was a sensational performance from Cuti, to be honest, at his aggressive best. I mean, there was this one challenge where he just wraps himself around. I think it was Solanke. I can't remember who.
It was Semenyo. He put us on a counter.
Yeah, and Semenyo looked at it, and Romero looked like he had no right to get that ball whatsoever, and he kind of did a sliding challenge around him, 100% got the ball. I mean, I've seen a few people on social media claiming that was a foul, but no chance for me. I thought it was an absolutely brilliant challenge. He was lunging in there. He was getting the ball time and time again. He was setting us up on attacks. And that one moment in the middle of the park where he just battered the ball against a Bournemouth player, it just made me absolutely crack up. And this relationship between him and Van de Ven is really flourishing now.
Yeah, another phenomenal display from Coutinho. Aggressive but calm and composed and controlled, I think, is what it was controlled aggression. What I liked from Coutinho wasn't diving into stupid challenges. When he did go in for a challenge, he won the ball. What I love about Romero, similar to what I said about Van de Ven, when he wins the ball, he wins it back for his team. He doesn't just win a tackle and it goes somewhere else. He'll win the ball and then we'll have possession back. And that's what I love about Romero. And I thought he didn't put a foot wrong yesterday. I think as well, in the box, he made about 5 clearances. So when there were crosses coming in, he was there to be counted as well with his aerial ability. Another brilliant display for the start of the season for Romero for me.
I'm just quickly checking. I don't think he's picked up a booking this season, has he? Or maybe in the first game he did. No, he didn't because he went off.
He went off, yeah.
Has he not picked up a booking? No, he hasn't picked up a booking in all 3 games so far this
booking
season.
For Romero. That shows a new side to him already.
Yeah,
and maybe that vice captaincy, that responsibility, maybe make him think about picking up all these silly bookings all the time.
Yeah. Let's move on to his partner, Mickey Van de Ven, 8 all round. And I was so impressed with Van de Ven yesterday. As I mentioned in the match review, I thought in that moment when it was really difficult for us, where Bournemouth were looking to get control in the game and we were losing it a bit, he really stood up to the challenge there. Aerial ability, we were worried about maybe what he can bring because his aerial stats weren't great coming in to Spurs when we analysed him. And I thought he was dominant in the air yesterday. He was winning so many duels and so many important challenges at the right times for us. And he was setting us up on attacks. I mean, I was so impressed with Van de Ven yesterday.
And I love it when he strides forward.
Yeah.
It's such a breath of fresh air seeing it. How many times did we have a left centre-back over the last few years who've been able, since Jan basically, been able to do that, just stride into the space. And
he is literally a Jan regen.
But he's taller than Jan. Yeah. He's probably quicker than Jan as well. But again, on the ball, so calm and composed. He's been like that ever since he's come here. But his defensive ability, just sliding tackles that are on point. That one time where there was a through ball looking like Solanke was going to be through on goal, and he just slides in, intercepts the ball and keeps possession for the team and sets us up on another attack. Absolutely fantastic again. I think him next to Romero, they've been pretty much faultless so far when they've played together, and it's been a brilliant start to his Spurs career so far.
Yeah, and the fans were absolutely loving him yesterday. Songs were coming out for him every second, the old Van der Vaart tune. But let's move on to Destiny Udogie. 8 all round for him. Another sensational display. Like I said before, I think he is probably the best performing left back in the league right now. Got his first assist? Yeah, I think it was his first assist of the season yesterday with a lovely surging run and a 1-2 with Heung-min Son, and just about kept the ball in to tee up Dejan Kulusevski. But it wasn't just that. I thought his defensive display was on point, and going forward and backwards, I mean, nobody knows how to handle him, to be honest. And he's really taken to this league like he's been here for 5 years.
Yeah, agreed. And it's amazing to see such a young player have that confidence. But sometimes when you have a player like Udogie, he's really physical, he's fast, he's strong, but sometimes they can lack that technical ability, and sometimes their physicality makes up for it. But he seems to marry both brilliantly, and he doesn't just have the physicality to get to the byline, he has the quality to get a cutback as well. He doesn't have the quality just to run in behind, but he also has the presence of mind to hold the ball up, wait for Sonny to make his movement, then do a pass and move and do a nice 1-2. He has those moments in him, so that's why he's just perfect for this inverted role, because he has that presence of mind and that ability in the centre, not to just continue like what we criticised Regular for, just continually running 100 miles an hour all the time. He can slow things down. He can be patient as well. And I thought again a brilliant display from Udogie, who's just been phenomenal at left back every game.
Yeah, he really has. Let's move on to Yves Bissouma. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 7. I thought first half he was absolutely brilliant, to be honest. Obviously, he had his hand in our first goal. Lovely shift and pass to Pape Matar Sarr. Air of Dembele in that movement. And air of Dembele, and every time he pretty much picks up the ball and does that little shift, and you just can't get the ball off him. So I think first half was unbelievable from Bissouma, but I did feel second half he was starting to tire. His passing was a bit sloppy and a couple of sloppy moments on the ball, and he picked up that yellow card, and he didn't get taken off much long after that. So I thought second half was a bit of a downgrade in his performance, but don't take away anything from a brilliant first half display.
Yeah, I would have probably marked him down if he stayed on any longer, to be honest, because he was only on for in the second half for 15 minutes or so. But I thought in that first half, he was again like another 9 out of 10. I thought he was imperious again, involved in that first goal with a brilliant move. And I just thought he was so hard to stop. Yet again, he was just putting in one of those like unbelievable displays. He did lose his way a bit in the second half. I actually felt it was a bit unlucky because I felt like on a couple of occasions he was fouled and the referee didn't give it for one reason or another. They went on to a turnover to Bournemouth and they went on our goal. But yeah, he did get that yellow card, which was a really stupid yellow. He was never getting the ball in that situation, and it was a cynical foul, and that was kind of a consequence of him losing his way, maybe being a bit leggy or for some reason lacking energy. He was rightfully taken off, but for most of his time on the ball, he was largely excellent.
Yeah, I agree with that. The only reason I marked him down 1 mark is because I just felt like in the second half he didn't come out and perform like he did in the first half. So you got to say it how you see it at the end of the day. And Pape Matar, Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 7. Obviously a brilliant assist. He really was. That is an assist of high quality to find Maddison running behind the defender there and just pick him out with an absolute pinpoint pass. And I thought he put himself about really well in that first half. Again, in the second half, I felt he was tiring and got taken off fairly early. But look, he's young and you do expect that kind of stuff creeping into his game. But to come into a Premier League team like he has done this season, I got nothing but praise for him, to be honest. And he had a couple of shots as well on target throughout the game. He's really getting into nice positions and he's showing great passing ability on the ball as well. So great display again from Pape.
And that's what I love about Pape Matar. Again, when we signed him, there was a lot of talk about off the ball, he's got loads of energy, he non-stop running. Ange was saying how he never stops running, and that's a weapon you can use. But clearly, that's not all he is. He's clearly a very good technical player. He takes up really good attacking positions as well. He seems to find space in the box where and on the edge of the box where other players aren't picking him up. He had if you notice as well, the assist he had with his left foot, his weaker foot. He managed to do a pinpoint through ball to Maddison, who scored. He's really starting to contribute to the attack as well as doing those non-negotiables, which is his defensive ability as well. And he's becoming this all-round midfielder. And it's so exciting for such a young midfielder as well, how he's developing. And he's going from strength to strength at the moment. Yes, he got a bit leggy in the second half and he did rightly get taken off when we needed a bit more energy in the centre. And it helped the team when he did come off. But again, when he was on the pitch, largely excellent.
Let's move on to James Maddison. Sim gives him a 9. I gave him an 8. Really good display from Maddison. In the first half, he was just the orchestrator of everything going forward. Missed a chance early on after 15 minutes, but then put that right about 10 minutes later or however long it was with a lovely finish into the bottom corner. Everything that was that Spurs were going forward was going through him. He was just floating in between those lines and putting in a really, really top display for us. And defensively, he was doing a really good job as well, winning the ball back time and time again. Second half, I don't think he was as strong as he was in the first half, but still an unbelievable display.
Yeah, what I loved on Maddison was his deep-lying playmaking ability in this game, which maybe hasn't been on show as much in the other games. His ability to pick up the ball in deeper areas and commit Bournemouth players, and it also allow us to kind of relieve the pressure from Bournemouth, who were pressing really high. Him picking up those balls and driving into the space and opening up the space in Bournemouth's midfield was absolutely phenomenal. When he did pick up the ball in the final third as well, he was as clinical as ever. Obviously, should have scored a goal before. He did score eventually. Played a lovely through ball to Richarlison, who should have scored. He also had nearly found Pedro Porro in the box as well. With that pass was just off. In the second half, he just allowed us to maintain control with some really good passing ability and good decision making. And a number of times he was able to set Sonny off on that left-hand side a few times as well, and through the centre. So I thought it was a masterful display from James Maddison. And again, it was something that Bournemouth just couldn't deal with.
Yeah, and let's move on to the captain, Heung-min Son. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 7. I don't know what's going on here, but I've marked 1 down from you, every single player. But look, I thought Heung-min Son was really good yesterday. He was really selfless in the way he was playing yesterday. 4 key passes on the day, which I thought was brilliant stuff. It was his 1-2 as well with Destiny Udogie to lead us to that second goal. And when he moved centrally, I actually thought he looked even better when he moved centrally, and he was causing Bournemouth Bournemouth no ends of problems, to be honest. And he probably did more at centre forward with, the little time that he had than Richarlison did the whole game.
Yeah, and I thought it was another really strong display from Heung-min Son. Really creative, I think, on the day. 4 key passes, which is more than anyone else on the pitch. I actually thought on the left-hand side again, I predicted it in the preview. I thought he was going to give Max Aarons a really tough time, and I thought he did. Max Aarons really struggled to deal with him on that left-hand side, and he was getting a lot of joy taking him on and running in behind as well. And as you say, once he moves centrally, he looks so sharp, and he seems to have that kind of build-up play a lot better than Richarlison. And you saw that little flick to Udogie, that was case in point of how effective he can be in those little positions. But you saw Son as well doing like Harry Kane-esque through balls occasionally once he picks the ball up from deep. Because he's got a left and right foot, he can pick a pass really accurately. And that was really, really good to see again from Heung-min Son. And after a very disappointing first game of the season, I think his next 2 games have been really, really encouraging. Another really good display from him, in my opinion.
The only frustrating thing I would say about Son yesterday is, again, I've been saying it after every game about him and Maddison. Maddison put it right yesterday, but I would like to see Son just take more shots, because there were still opportunities yesterday where Son could have pulled the trigger. He goes for the extra pass, and we know Sonny's got it in his locker. So just pull the trigger a bit more, man. Why not?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Let's move on to Dejan Kulusevski. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 7. Obviously, he did really well for the goal, where getting in front of his man, really physical battle there, and a really lovely finish into the bottom corner. I mean, I wasn't that impressed with his display yesterday. I thought he was putting himself about and getting past men quite well. But again, it's what he does after it, in my opinion, that really frustrates me. But look, it was better than what we have seen in the past couple of games, but I still want to see more from Dejan.
Yeah, good finish for the goal, have to say. It wasn't an easy finish to find that far corner the way he did, so I'm really happy with that. I thought he was looking a bit more confident, especially in that second half. I thought he was linking up really well with Porro, and I thought, and also Sarr and Højbjerg when he came on. I thought they had some really nice interchanges together on the right-hand side. Didn't create too much, which maybe you want more from Kulusevski, but I think overall a really strong display, and hopefully it's a sign of him getting that confidence back.
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, right, he's our most performing in terms of output out of the front line. 1 goal and 1 assist.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 1 goal.
1 goal and 1 assist already so far out of 3 games. And a lot of people, including myself, have knocked Dejan Kulusevski, but maybe we need to chill out a bit, because he's actually producing in the goal front. So let's move on to Richarlison, the final of the starting 11. 5s all round from us, unfortunately. Look, I thought he was okay in the first half with his link-up play. Obviously, he misses that gilt-edged chance in the first half where I think if he puts that away, you could be seeing a different game from Rishi, but you could really see that chance was grating on him all game, and he was getting so frustrated in that second half, especially where misplaced passes, tripping over the ball, and shoulders slumped, and you could see that body language was just terrible from Richarlison. And I don't know what needs to happen with him, but I think the fans need to help him out in these kind of situations, and we need to support him instead of berate him, and support him into good form, because I think that's the only way he's going to get there.
Yeah, he's clearly in his own head at the moment. It's clearly affecting him, his own form, not just the goal-scoring record. And you saw in that second half, he was kind of beating himself up a bit with a couple of moments, which unfortunately doesn't help the team, and it doesn't help him, and he was rightfully taken off. But I thought in the first half, at least, he was getting in the good positions, he was getting chances, his link-up play was a bit better. I actually think in a weird way, for that chance he missed, he did really well, although he probably could have taken it earlier and just got the shot off earlier and made sure he got a shot off, I guess. But the way he actually took it past that defender and then got the touch, and then the touch past the keeper, was actually pretty impressive. But unfortunately, he just that second touch was just a bit too strong, and he wasn't able to, and he allowed the defender to get back, and he'll be a bit.
It's a great challenge, by the way.
It was a great challenge, but the way he took it past that defender was super, like that nutmeg. I don't know how he did that in such a tight space. That was like really impressive. But unfortunately,
it was like from the sublime to the disastrous.
Yeah, exactly. that was it for Richarlison. He also had a really good chance, I felt, from a free kick when Maddison floats it to the back post, and you know what? It's an open goal. If he gets on target, it's a goal. And unfortunately, it was just the way things are going for Richarlison. It was a side netting, albeit it did come in pretty quickly. But another great ball from Maddison. But yeah, look. I'm confident once he gets a goal or once something happens for him, the confidence will start to flow. He's clearly a confidence player. And we've seen it even with Son. He can go through really bad periods. We've seen it before. Like, he goes through really bad periods where nothing's going for him and he's looking at, are we ever going to get the Son back from before? He can go for like 10 games periods where he's not looking at it, and then he can have a streak. So let's hope Richarlison can turn it around sooner rather than later. At the moment, I just feel like he's not like helping the team with some of his body language. But look, I think this is going to be some good man management from Postecoglou to get the arm round shoulder and just keep believing in him. I'm sure he'll turn it around. I
don't know if you noticed this on TV, if they showed it, but as the players gathered in the centre circle after the game, just before they came over to the fans, you could see Richarlison was really down, and his head after the game, and because they all came on just before they came over to the fans, and Richarlison's head was completely down. You could see like about 3 or 4 Spurs players just going up to him, consoling him. So it's really affecting him at the moment.
Well, you see Maddison, I think Richarlison must have put out an Instagram post yesterday. I didn't see it, but I saw Maddison replied to it saying, "You worked your bollocks off, mate. The goals will start to come. Just keep your head up." So I'm sure they're all encouraging him.
Yeah. Let's move on to the substitutes. Ivan Perisic came on. We gave him a 7s all round, and I thought Perisic was really impressive when he came on yesterday. He was one of the big reasons why I thought we gained control back into that game. He was a bit relentless on that left-hand side. He was taking on his man. He was getting crosses into the box, and I thought it was probably his best display of the season so far.
Yeah, another really good cameo, I thought, from Perisic. He's starting to make an impact off the bench pretty consistently now. He was involved in the second goal pretty immediately as soon as he came on. And I thought everything he did with a touch of class. Whereas I thought like last season, he had way too many touches where he's just passing it inside blindly to no one and giving the ball away really needlessly. I think he seemed to have calmed that down. And now all of a sudden he's doing things with a purpose and not just, and when his passes are first time, they seem to be accurate and with quality. And that's what I like about him. I thought he was giving, again, Aaron's a really tough time on that left-hand side when he came on. Was unlucky not to score, but he had a shot with his left-hand side. And as well, a lot of the times he was getting into the box and looking to be an option as well. The only negative for Perisic, I'll say, I wouldn't say it was lucky not to get sent off, but it was just a stupid thing to do. He kind of pushed Aaron's in the face. There was a VAR check.
Why wasn't he sent off for that? Because I saw it bad.
Because when he pushed him, it kind of rolled from his shoulder up into his face. It wasn't like kind of a push in the face. So look, he's fortunate. He gives the referee a decision to make, doesn't he? And if he is given a red card, there's nothing he can say about it. So he's a bit petulant, especially for a 35-year-old to do that is really uncharacteristic of Perisic. So something to watch out for. But luckily he wasn't sent off and it was a good cameo in the end.
Yeah, Pierre came on as well around a similar time where we regained control into that game. And I thought he as well was vital for us recontrolling. 7s all round from Pierre. And what he did do was really well was his off-the-ball work, winning his duels, winning the ball back time and time again. He looked sharp as well on the ball with his quick passing. So I thought Højbjerg did a really good job for the team when he came on.
Yeah, and I think he actually came on and moved in the 6, and Basuma moved over a bit into the 8 occasionally. I think it worked pretty well. He helped calm down the situation. I thought defensively he was really good. And as you say, his passing was a lot crisper. Obviously, he doesn't provide what like Basuma can do in that position, like with his drives forward and his dribbling ability. But what he did do good, the simple things, he did pretty effectively. And it was a really good cameo from Højbjerg.
Moving on to Giovanni Lo Celso. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 5. Interesting, that one. It's actually interesting with Giovanni Lo Celso because I was speaking to people inside the stadium and they had a pretty much similar feeling to me about how he performed yesterday. And then I spoke to a bunch of people that watched it on TV and they all thought he had a really good cameo. So it's just interesting how people see things. But for me, Giovanni Lo Celso, every time he got the ball in really good areas, he just wasn't picking up those passes that we saw from him in the preseason games. Now, opportunities for him to do it, but they were just sloppy passes, either a bit too weak or they found the defender intercepted them. But I thought he was getting in good positions and in amongst it, but I just felt his quality was a bit poor.
Yeah, I felt that he just helped retain control of the game, and I thought his touches were a bit quality. What I didn't like, I guess, was that when Maddison has that ability like to turn like in any direction, I felt like Lo Celso, whereas in pre-season he had that ability to be on the half turn and move forward. I felt like he was a bit apprehensive in this game, but I did feel like he didn't do much wrong. I felt like when he was in the opposition's half, he was able to just keep possession. I felt like that he was helped kill off the game. Didn't do anything special, but I just felt like as part of the team, he added a bit more control, so he was okay.
Yeah, I mean, probably 5 is a bit harsh. I would say 6 is probably what he deserved yesterday, to be honest. But let's move on to last but not least, Ollie Skip. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. Again, Ollie Skip came on with a good mentality, running around the place, putting himself about, and helped us close the game out, really, but without too much quality.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty good. Again, added that energy and allowed us to retain control of the game. Wasn't really caught out by any of the Bournemouth midfielders. When going forwards, didn't provide too much, I guess, but at that point the game was pretty much dead. We did kind of stop creating too many chances, but I thought he had a decent cameo, Skip, and provided well for the team.
And last but not least, big Ange Postecoglou, 9s all round from us. He is the reason why this club has just a flip 180 on the pitch, off the pitch, in terms of mentality of the fan base. And, the fans just did not stop singing yesterday. And like 80% of the songs were all about Ange Postecoglou, to be honest. And I thought we started the game as we meant to go on. We were heavily dominant in that first half, creating chance after chance. We really should have gone on at halftime with a bigger lead. Second half, Bournemouth came into the game and Ange recognised that and how we were losing control in the game, and he brought on his 2 most experienced players, and that completely shifted the momentum back into our favour. So he made the changes at the right time, picked the right team at the beginning of the game as how dominant we were, and we came out well more than deserved victors.
Yeah, I think the tactical setup was absolutely perfect. He made a few tweaks which made us a bit more effective in beating Bournemouth's press. I thought when we started to slip and lose a bit of control of the game, he made the subs at the perfect time. I think we pretty much maintained control throughout the whole 90 minutes, apart from a few brief periods. And I think he managed the game impeccably. I think the subs were perfectly timed. I think the tactics were spot on. I think it was a brilliant... I think he managed the game really, really good. And as you say, the most important thing is that he's getting that connection with the fans. He's completely flipped the club in a positive mood, and he's got to get massive credit for that. And the away end was buzzing yesterday. You could hear it on TV, and you were there as well yesterday. So more brilliant stuff from Ange Postecoglou.
And once again, like the Manchester United game, he was the last one off that pitch yesterday. The players came over to the away end. After that, Ange came over and he was just there lapping it up for quite a while, actually. Just there telling the fans to get louder and all that kind of stuff. And then he walked out to be the last man on that pitch once again.
Just simple things like that go so far.
Yeah, 100%.
When it comes to fans.
100%. And those simple things, those small little tweaks are what he's changing. And you can really see that connection. I keep saying it, but it's building game on game now, this connection between the team and the fans. And Ange Postecoglou has said it many a times that the fans come first, the fans are the biggest judges, all these kind of things, where we never really heard this from previous managers. Like each manager, like Mourinho and Conte, just made it about themselves every time. Ange just doesn't make it about himself. He makes it about the fans. He makes it about the players on that football pitch. And I'm here for it. I think it's absolutely brilliant the way he's managing this club. And long may it continue. So let's move on. Let's go to a few more super chats. I Touch Dead Pigeons says, if we start starting Dane Scarlett, we are title contenders.
100%. Scarlett's going to get top goal scorer, golden boot.
Michael Hellman, member for 22 months, big up Michael, says, it's still early days and there are many reasons to be angry at the board, but boy, have made the correct decisions for the gaffer. May it continue. Look, I think in terms of what you want to say about the board, I think you're absolutely spot on. I think we've made so many bad decisions and so many wrong decisions over so many years. It's hard to forgive them just because they've got a right managerial appointment. And this is, by the way, the 4th managerial appointment since Pochettino has left the club. So it's hard to kind of just accept all those mistakes that they have made. And also you got to look at the state of the transfer window still this year. I don't think it's like the best transfer window so far, still so much more business to do and so little time to do it in. So I think the board, I think we're kind of doing well despite what the board have done. To be honest. So I'm still very much, my feelings on the board is still very much the same, hasn't changed one bit, but the fact of the matter is that we're doing well, and that is down to Ange Postecoglou. And yes, they did make that decision to bring him in.
Yeah, and I think Ange is kind of battling against a lot of shit that the board has thrown at him, to be honest, and he's obviously dealing with it impeccably, and that's credit to him. But that's not to say that the board take credit for appointing him, obviously, and it's been a very good appointment so far, but the amount of difficulties has been chucked at him, a lot of problems that have been chucked at him and that he's had to deal with. Thankfully that he's come out the other side in a really good way, because other managers would have found it a lot more difficult to deal with what Ange's had to deal with.
Yeah.
So I think I agree with you. It's despite the board that he's doing a great job, not because of them.
Yeah. And let's move on to the final segment of the show today, and that is the 5 takeaways. So we're going to look at the game yesterday and see what 5 things we can take away from the game. First and foremost is perfect Romero.
Yeah, and Romero statistically had an absolutely fantastic game. Obviously on the pitch we could see that on the eye test as well, but you look at his stats: 5 out of 5 duels won, 2 out of 2 aerial duels won, 3 tackles, 3 interceptions, dribble pass 0 times, and 97% pass accuracy as well. Of his 38 passes, only misplaced 1 of them. So brilliant display by Coutinho. Romero was completely imperious throughout the 90 minutes, and I'm loving this new controlled Romero we're seeing this season, where he seems to be taking a lot more responsibility on himself, and it's leading to some really fantastic performances.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, to be honest. I loved his display yesterday. He's towing that line, but he's still very aggressive, but he's doing it in a really, I don't know what the word is,
controlled.
But maybe it is controlled, but kind of, is it that it doesn't look that controlled, to be honest, but he's battering balls into opposition players. He's putting in amazing lunges and sliding tackles. I mean, he has really stepped it up a notch since Mickey van der Ven has come into the team, and you can really see not just the relationship between him and Van der Ven, but the relationship between him and Porro as well on the other side. I mean, you're starting to see a back line, a back 4 that we can be really proud of, to be honest, every single player in their own right. But Coutinho Romero is kind of taking that leadership role in that back line and really flourishing for it. So I'm loving what I'm seeing from Romero. Let's move on to number 2, and that is Maddison masterclass.
Yeah, and I thought he was absolute magic yesterday. I thought he played so well, James Maddison, throughout the 90 minutes. I thought, again, he was taking responsibility within himself to come deep and pick the ball up in deeper areas and do some deep line playmaking, as well as obviously being in the final third and providing goals and assists, and obviously scoring on the day. 2 out of 2 dribbles on the day, 1 key pass, 3 shots, 2 on target, 7 out of 12 duels won as well, 91% passing accuracy on the day. And I don't even know those stats completely do him justice as well, because I thought they was so involved in a lot more throughout the game. And I just loving how Maddison is just taking this team on with himself, and he's like, I'm going to be the main guy now, and he's just really fitted in seamlessly.
Yeah, he really has. And I think he is just what we used to say about Christian Eriksen, the complete hub of the team. Everything positive going forward is all going through him. The way he floats in between those lines is so impressive, and off the ball as well. Non-stop running. The duels that you mentioned there were the big part for me, because he kept winning the ball back time and time again to set us up on attacks once again. He did that. We nearly scored when he kind of blocked the goalkeeper's throw out as well. I mean, the guy is just unbelievable. The way he just come into this team and just hit the ground running to be one of our most important players is just astounding to me. And the leadership role he's taking up on that pitch as well. I mean, I've never seen a player come in straight away and just be so vital to us. It's just crazy.
That's exactly what we needed since Kane left.
Yeah, exactly. So let's move on to number 3, and that is defensive solidity.
Yeah, and look, another clean sheet yesterday. Our stats so far during the season, there's only 2 goals conceded in the first 3 games, only 1 from open play, which was Wissa's goal, which took a deflection. When Van der Ven and Romero have been on the pitch, we haven't conceded a single goal. We only conceded 1 shot inside our penalty area in that whole second half yesterday. Our XG conceded yesterday was 0.67. In only 2 games of the whole of last season did we concede less XG in 90 minutes yesterday. And I think that just goes to show how we're improving defensively. Even though we had a defensive system last season, this is what we were saying about Postecoglou. We're going to be defending less this season because of the control we're going to have in games, and that's already bearing out. And as we say, Romero and Van der Ven, their partnership is really starting to flourish really, really early on, and it's really, really encouraging. And only 1 open play goal conceded in the first 3 games is very impressive.
Yeah, and there was a kind of narrative, we were all saying it like coming in, the first few months of Ange, we're going to struggle defensively with the high line to get used to it and all this kind of stuff. But these 4 defenders, like all of them are pretty much new. Pedro Porro came in January and was in and out the team.
Still a new role for him, though.
Yeah, a new role for him, but he came in and out of the team last season. Romero was a mainstay. Mickey van der Ven's a completely new signing, 22-year-old coming in his first year in the Premier League. And Destiny Udogie, brand new signing as well, effectively, and just coming into a brand new role, into a brand new league as well, and still so young. What is he, 20 years of age?
And Vicario as well.
And Vicario, yeah, 100%. So all of them are performing completely perfectly, I should say, at the moment. And I'm just gobsmacked how good we look defensively so early in this system. And if this is like a kind of base to grow on, a building block, like what we can achieve in the next couple of years if we keep growing from this level, I don't know what we can achieve, because I think it's unbelievable.
It's mad. It's just mad how we've gone from our worst ever defensive display in a season last season. I think most goals we ever conceded. And now our first 3 games, 2 clean sheets, 1 goal from open play conceded. It's just a phenomenal turnaround.
I mean, the only team that looked better defensively than us so far in terms of the top teams is Man City. They haven't conceded a goal yet. I mean, you look at Arsenal, right? They're conceding chances. They're conceding bad chances. I mean, that ball from Saka and that goalkeeping by Ramsdale yesterday. I mean, like, Arsenal are conceding goals at home to like teams that they should never be conceding to. And Spurs are their back 4, which is a brand new back 4. This Arsenal back 4 should be settled by now, and they should be like conceding clean sheets. They should be going for the title. I know it's a long season; it's only 3 games in, but you can only go on what you see right now after the first 3 games. And what I see is Spurs having a settled backline, and Arsenal not really.
Yeah, it's a bit strange.
Let's move on to number 4, and that is Kulusevski shining.
Yeah, and look, he got his first goal of the season. He's a player who has come in for a bit of criticism this season for some of his performances, but I thought yesterday was a bit of a return to form for him. 2 out of 2 dribbles completed, 2 key passes, second only to Son, 2 tackles and 2 interceptions as well. Obviously, really doing that defensive work. He won 5 of his 11 duels. So, look, he won 5 duels, which is good, but still a bit of work to do. And obviously, he got his goal with a really cute finish in that second half. And he looked absolutely delighted with that goal as well. Once he scored, you saw maybe a bit of relief come off him.
Yeah.
And hopefully he can really use that as a springboard.
And you really saw the togetherness in the team when Kulusevski scored. When he did score, I think it was every single player on the pitch came and, apart from Vicario, came and celebrated with him. So you're really starting to see this togetherness back in the team, because it hasn't been there for a while now, let's be honest. And again, that's down to big Ange Postecoglou for galvanising them once again. But with Kulusevski in his performance, I didn't think it was an amazing performance from him, but you can't knock what he's producing in terms of numbers so far. 1 goal, 1 assist in the first 3 games, so 2 goal contributions in 3 games, and the most of anyone in that front line. So I think Son has he got 1 assist so far? Has he not even got an assist yet?
I don't think he's got an assist.
No, so I mean, Rishi and Son both haven't had any goal contributions yet. Kulusevski is out there with 2 after the first 3 games. So I've seen a lot of fans, including myself, kind of knock Kulusevski's performances, but you can't really knock the numbers so far just yet.
Yeah. All right.
And last but not least, let's move on to increased dribbling.
Yeah, and this was an interesting stat that I picked up on in this game. Obviously, Spurs completed 14 dribbles throughout the game, which was quite impressive. Our highest total throughout the whole of last season was only 1 game where we got 15 completed dribbles. This season already, we've completed 14, 16 and 14 in our first 3 games. And I think that just goes to, I think that's evidence of Postecoglou trusting these players more, to have that increased freedom, to know when to try and beat a player and exploit the space, and not just, as Conte would do, just take the ball and pass it quickly and do the system he wants every step of the way. Like, Postecoglou is giving these players a lot more freedom to make their own movements and judgments and know when to burst in the space and try and take a player on, or when to pass it simply. And I think those stats are evidence of just that increased responsibilities given to that players, and that increased freedom as well, allowing them to dribble a bit more and take players on rather than just be stringent in their formation.
Yeah, and after the game, I can't remember which player they were talking to him about, but they said, oh, does this certain player, I think it was Maddison, does he have, no, it was Udogie, I think they were talking about, and he says, and they asked him, does he have the license to go forward and to really flourish? And he says, they all do.
They all do, yeah.
and I love that from him, to be honest, because if there's space, he wants the players to drive into that space. And you can see it You can see it all over the pitch. At one point, Porro was there in the middle of the box. At one point, Adoji was. I mean, they're all just like taking up the freedom on the pitch and really utilizing it. And we're flourishing because of it. And the dribbles that we're showing on the pitch from everyone, to be honest. I mean, we're such a hard team to play against now. And like I said, I'll keep saying it about every metric, but it is all down to this main man, Ange Postecoglou. So it's great watch. And I'm just in awe watching Spurs every single time now, because when have you ever seen like a club like this just a complete flip 180 in such a short space of time? 3 games he's been here for. It's mental.
It's crazy. But it is only 3 games.
It is only 3 games. But if we like, you would assume that we're going to improve.
You'd hope so.
You assume that, don't you?
But managers do get a honeymoon period. Let's just hope it's not a honeymoon period and it is a sign of things to come. But it does seem to that it is definitely going in the right direction.
But like you compare this to like the start of the Nuno era. The Nuno era, we started with 3 wins.
And no one really believed it.
No one believed it because we were terrible. We were lucky to get those wins. Yeah. You know, we were having 1 shot a game, scoring 1 goal and not conceding.
We did videos about how this isn't sustainable, I remember, after those 3 wins.
Exactly.
But now, looking at the performance and even the data, it's definitely not unsustainable.
Exactly. So that is your 5 takeaways for the match. 2-0 at the Vitality against Bournemouth. And we are very happy Spurs fans here, as you can obviously tell. And I think even the mood in the studio has flipped 180 since Ange Postecoglou has come in. So I'd like to say thank you everyone for joining in on the live stream today. 1,200 of you watching at the moment. So please go and smash that like button and go and visit our new website as well, WeAreTottenhamTV.co.uk, where you get daily blog posts regarding all the content that we do as well. So thank you everyone for joining us. We'll see you all very soon. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.